Be ready, because what's unfolding now isn't just another moment passing by on the calendar. You're standing at the edge of something monumental, and most people don't even realize it. They'll move through these final days of June the way they always do, assuming it's just another stretch of ordinary time slowly fading into July. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Beneath the surface, something strange is shifting, something real. And if you've been paying attention, even just a little, you've likely already felt it. This isn't just another week. It holds a kind of weight, a quiet intensity that might surpass anything this month has offered so far. And the reason it feels different isn't necessarily something you'll see with your eyes. It's something veiled, hidden just beneath the ordinary, cloaked in synchronicity and pressure. Not everything that glows is meant to stay in your life, and not every door that opens is one you're meant to walk through right away. In the days ahead, something may show up suddenly, a chance meeting, an unexpected offer, a situation that feels promising on the surface. And while it may look like fate smiling at you, there's a reason why you shouldn't dive in too quickly. You'll want to wait, to observe, to feel it out. Because what's coming now is not random. In fact, it's deeply connected to something bigger, something already moving through the fabric of your life. And if anything recently entered your life that seemed a little too perfect, a little too smooth or magical, ask yourself, did it feel real or did it feel rehearsed? You're not wrong for questioning. You're not being paranoid. You're being tuned in. If you felt like you're standing in the middle of something you can't fully name, you're not alone. And if you want to, you're invited to share what you've been feeling in the comments. You can even write 444 to affirm your alignment with this moment, especially if you're sensing something significant brewing beneath the surface as this month draws to a close. This week, most of the world will be too distracted by surface-level noise to notice the deeper waves moving underneath. But you will notice. And it all begins with something sacred, the solstice. Now, this isn't just a seasonal marker or a symbolic celebration of light. This is a pivot point, a hidden doorway disguised in the rhythm of nature. It has already creaked open, silently, and not everyone will even notice they've stepped through it. That's because what's unfolding now isn't visible through the lens of ordinary perception. It's not about daylight or dates on a calendar. It's about energy, pressure, like some unseen lock has just clicked open, and a strange resonance is beginning to spill into this dimension. That low hum you feel in the background of your thoughts, the restlessness you can't explain, the emotions rising out of nowhere, the dreamlike quality of your days. That's the shift. Some are sensing it as a kind of watching presence, a quiet sense that something is about to change even though nothing external has shifted yet. Others feel it like a pressure in the chest, a call to something they haven't yet defined. It's subtle, but for those who are sensitive, it's deeply powerful. For a few of you, it's almost as if you've been handed a key, one you never asked for, one you didn't expect. And that key? It opens something internal, a forgotten room in your soul, a locked chapter in your timeline, a version of yourself you haven't met in years, or maybe ever. But here's the truth you need to know. Once that door opens, it's not always easy, or even possible, to close it again. And as this energy builds over the next few days, you may find yourself standing in front of a choice that doesn't come with clear directions. The universe won't beg you to move. It won't wait for you to feel safe. It will offer you the energy and walk away, leaving the decision in your hands. And if you're waiting for certainty before you act, you might miss what was meant for you. These final days of June have a certain reputation, not one you'll find in books or astrology blogs, but one whispered between those who've lived long enough to recognize patterns the world doesn't talk about. Some call this stretch the luck window, a mysterious 9-day corridor beginning with the solstice on June 21st and ending as the month closes on June 30th. And in this window, fate doesn't gently knock. It bursts through the door. But here's the twist. Luck won't look like luck. It might arrive wearing the disguise of chaos, a sudden cancellation, an unexpected goodbye, a plan falling apart, a door slamming shut. But beneath those disruptions, something real is shifting. You might not recognize it in the moment, but later, when the dust settles, you'll see it was the beginning of something significant. This is the kind of week where you might receive a message that feels completely out of context, or stumble into a conversation that catches you off guard. You may be offered something that, at first glance, feels beneath your potential, or you might lose something that felt secure. But the truth is, these aren't mistakes. They're signals, and they're designed to test how deeply you trust your path, especially when it stops looking like the version you had planned. Playing it safe right now is the fastest route to staying stuck. This is the moment when you're asked to be bold, even if it doesn't make sense, to say yes to the uncertain, to lean into the unknown, because the universe is shifting your lane. It's removing the dust from the mirror, and while it might look like everything is falling apart, it's actually aligning in ways that only hindsight will reveal. And then there's June 25th, a day where the sky itself goes dark, not in fear, but in sacred invitation. The moon disappears into shadow, and with it, something within you may begin to dissolve. This isn't your typical new moon, the kind that brings new intentions or clarity. No, this one steals the map. It removes the mirror. It pulls you into a space where your identity softens and your sense of self feels untethered. Before we move ahead in the video, I want to let you know that if you've gained even a little value from my efforts, please consider donating through Super Thanks. It really helps motivate and inspire us to keep going. During this time, you may find yourself saying things that don't feel like you, feeling emotions that seem disconnected from your current reality, acting out of character, or noticing that your thoughts no longer match the way you've always seen yourself. Don't panic. You're not unraveling. You're being emptied. The moon is asking you to drop the script, even if only for a moment, so that something more essential can emerge. What's happening here is not confusion. It's the space before clarity. It's the void where transformation begins. It's the shedding of an old story so a new one can be written. But in order for that to happen, you must allow yourself to float in the uncertainty, to witness the dissolution without needing to rush to rebuild. It's only in this emptiness that truth has room to echo back. So take a breath. You're not lost, you're becoming. And this final stretch of June is less about chasing answers and more about allowing the real questions to rise. The ones that come in silence, the ones that come in stillness, the ones that come when you stop trying to define yourself and instead just feel what's ready to emerge. There is power in this pause. There is alignment in this uncertainty. And while the world around you may keep spinning like nothing's happening, your soul knows. Your body knows. The energy is different. The veil is thin. The shift is already in motion. What you're feeling right now, this strange, in-between state that seems to sit just beneath the surface of your daily rhythm, is not something to fear or fight. It's an invitation, a profound, sacred interruption in your usual patterns. The labels, the roles, the identity loops constantly playing in your mind, all the things that have kept your ego glued together, are beginning to dissolve, not because you failed or because something's gone wrong, but because something deeper is trying to rise to the surface. This moment isn't about punishment. It's about purification, a gentle yet undeniable cleansing of the self you thought you had to be. You're not meant to feel shiny and complete right now. You're meant to feel hollowed out, like an empty shell whose purpose is not yet clear. That emptiness isn't a loss. It's a clearing. It's the sacred ground where something real and rooted can finally emerge. When there's no more image to uphold, no more narrative to defend, you finally touch something raw and unfiltered. You meet yourself, not as an idea or a projection, but as presence, silent, watchful, and alive. And that kind of presence is often difficult to look at because it asks everything of you while promising nothing external in return. So if you're walking through these days feeling unanchored, unmotivated, or like a stranger in your own life, that's not wrong. That's the medicine. That's the shift. We're approaching a profound moment, one that most will overlook entirely, but whose energetic fingerprint will linger quietly in the air. On June 24th, Jupiter, the great expander of our solar system, the planetary force tied to abundance, growth, optimism, and faith, will vanish behind the sun. Astronomers call it a solar conjunction, but energetically it's much more than a line in the sky. It's a cosmic performance where the light of hope goes dark for just a little while, and something softer, something subtler, is asked to step into the center of the stage. You might not notice the shift all at once. It won't announce itself with fanfare or force. Instead, it creeps in quietly, like the slow dimming of a light you didn't realize was even on. The internal brightness you usually rely on. That forward-moving sense that things will work out. That quiet encouragement to keep pushing. It may seem to vanish, but this isn't hopelessness. It's emptiness. The kind of emptiness that follows after a loud, joyful song fades away. It's a pause in the performance, a space between heartbeats where you can finally hear what's been drowned out for so long. Because when Jupiter leaves the sky, what remains is space, and in that space, quieter parts of your spirit get a rare chance to speak. The small, sacred voices that are usually silenced by ambition, drowned out by productivity, or buried beneath endless striving, they begin to rise. Not with noise, but with calm certainty. This moment isn't asking you to give up on your goals or dreams. It's asking you to explore the roots of those dreams, to understand what still holds value even when the flashy signs and external affirmations fall away. Don't expect to be led by green lights or obvious signals right now. Jupiter's disappearance acts as a kind of spiritual filter. What usually inspires you, the big bold dreams and the fiery motivation, might go quiet. And in that quiet, you're called inward. You're invited to find your why. Not the one you post about, not the one that sounds impressive, but the one that sits deep inside your bones. The reason you keep going even when no one is watching. The truth that doesn't need validation to remain real. Some people might feel their usual drive flicker. Confidence may waver. Plans could lose clarity. You might question things you were once sure of. But don't confuse this pause with failure or regression. This isn't a breakdown. It's a refinement, a recalibration. When Jupiter hides, it doesn't take away your luck or abundance. It reminds you that the real source of those gifts was never external. They've always been within you. And this is your chance to realize that for yourself. This time is especially powerful for those who tend to move through life with intensity. For the doers, the builders, the seekers. If you're someone who thrives on movement, achievement, and validation, you might feel destabilized by this temporary silence. But rather than sprinting forward in search of more clarity, what's being asked of you now is something braver. To walk blindfolded and trust your next step without needing a spotlight to light the way. Your momentum doesn't need to come from the stars right now. It can rise from your own breath, your own pulse. That quiet, steady rhythm of your being, the one you forget to notice, has been waiting for this exact silence to finally be heard. And just as you're learning to hold steady in the dark, another powerful alignment arrives. On June 30th, Mars, the planet of will, fight, desire, and pure action, will pass behind the moon in a rare occultation. In simple terms, this means Mars disappears from our view, veiled by the moon. But spiritually and emotionally, it signifies so much more. It's a symbolic eclipse of our primal drive, the part of us that lunges, pushes, reacts without hesitation. That fire becomes hidden, not extinguished, but redirected. Mars doesn't go silent because it's tired. It gets buried deeper into the emotional layers of the psyche. And that is a different kind of power altogether. When fire can't find an obvious outlet, it doesn't go out. It becomes concentrated. It coils, it waits, it watches. And this makes it even more potent. This is where anger becomes quiet resolve, where ambition morphs into strategy, where movement pauses, not in fear, but in precision. You might notice it in small ways, a wave of energy rising within you, only to suddenly vanish. A brilliant burst of inspiration fading before you can act. A heated need to speak your truth swallowed by a sense of stillness. This emotional push-pull isn't confusion, it's recalibration. It's Mars, the planet of instinct, being tempered by the moon's emotional intelligence. Your fire hasn't left you, it's simply been asked to listen first. You may see people around you becoming quieter, retreating, pulling back not out of defeat, but deliberation. They're conserving energy, they're aiming. And if you find yourself doing the same, stepping away, delaying action that once felt urgent, it's okay. That hesitation might not be weakness at all. It might be the most aligned, most strategic response available to you. This isn't a time for reckless leaps or bold declarations. It's a time for inner alignment, for plotting your next steps not with adrenaline, but with wisdom. When the moon eclipses Mars, it doesn't take your power. It reveals how much deeper it can go. It shows you that even without the constant push, even without external friction, your will is still there, but it's being refined, sharpened. Watch the quiet ones this week. The people who don't speak much, who seem to be pulling away, they are the ones holding fire in their chest. They are the ones preparing to move when the time is truly right. And you might be one of them. This period between June 24th and June 30th holds a sacred silence, a pause between cosmic notes. Jupiter dims, and your faith gets quiet. Mars hides, and your fight goes inward. And in that layered hush, something ancient and enduring begins to stir. This isn't about losing your fire or your belief. It's about remembering where those forces truly live. Not in the sky, not in the applause, but within your own heart. Let this week be what it needs to be. A reset, a revelation, a reorientation toward power that no longer needs to be proven, just known. What returns after this will not be exactly what left. Your reflection will come back clearer, yes, but different. Wiser, more grounded, and far more real. There are certain weeks in life when things don't happen in loud or dramatic ways, when the most powerful shifts don't come with announcements or thunderclaps, but instead unfold quietly, behind the veil of the visible world. This is one of those weeks. You may not see the movement, but something significant is changing course underneath the surface. There's a rearranging taking place in the background, where deals are made in silence, where life-altering decisions are not declared but discovered within stillness. Don't expect fireworks, grand gestures, or bold outcomes right now. Instead, expect the unshakable kind of intention, the kind that settles quietly into place deep within your bones. You may feel like something inside you is gearing up to erupt, like an emotional tide rising toward its crest. But if that eruption doesn't happen, don't mistake it for failure or repression. It's not suppression, it's refinement. What's awakening in you isn't ready to burst outward just yet. It's still being tempered. It's still taking shape in the fire behind the curtain. And that fire, though unseen, is no less powerful. In fact, it's more potent for its stillness, more sacred for its restraint, more yours because it's not being filtered through performance or explanation. Right now, there is something coming towards you that was never originally meant to find you. But it's been rerouted by something greater. It's not just chance, it's deviation from the expected divine interference, threading through the mystery of this final week of June. Around the 27th, the sky will give us a cosmic symbol in the form of the June Boutids, a meteor shower unlike any other. It doesn't behave like the rest. It doesn't obey predictable rules. Some years, it barely whispers across the sky. Other years, it surprises even the most seasoned sky watchers with sudden radiant bursts that appear out of nowhere. Scientists can't always forecast it, and that's exactly what makes it matter more. This isn't about the beauty of spectacle. It's about disruption, tiny, holy interruptions in what we consider normal. The Boutids are cosmic proof that even in silence, something can break open. That in unpredictability, there is meaning. You won't see it by staring straight ahead or waiting for a clear sign. These sparks arrive at the periphery, just beyond where you're looking. They catch the corners of your mind. They arrive like soft whispers in your thoughts, strange symbols at strange times, tiny synchronicities that tug at your memory and stir something unexplainable in your heart. They are the messages you weren't supposed to catch, but somehow do. This is the kind of week where dreams feel a little too vivid to ignore, where you might find yourself haunted by a phrase, a name, a color that repeats across your path with no logical cause, where a passing word or glance unlocks a part of your mind you didn't realize was sealed. These aren't coincidences. This is the booted effect. The signal hidden inside the irregular, the broken, the almost forgotten, the sacred hiding in plain sight. The truth is, the most important signs rarely look like signs at all when they first arrive. That's how they pass unnoticed by the masses, until someone, somewhere, finally sees them for what they are. Don't be surprised if you find yourself called to revisit something that once felt complete. It may not be unfinished, but it may be undergoing a quiet transformation, and you're being drawn back to witness it. You might receive a message from someone you were just thinking about, as if your inner world sent out a frequency they could hear. You might stumble across a sentence or a song lyric that speaks to a question you've been asking silently for months. And it won't feel loud, not at first. It won't feel like a revelation until it echoes inside you long after it passes. That's the real magic of this moment. It doesn't bring clarity in bold strokes. It brings possibility, tucked away inside what others overlook. The booteds are proof of that. A meteor shower that doesn't follow rules. A burst of energy that sometimes never shows, but when it does, it roars through the darkness louder than all the others combined. That's what this week holds. A quiet that may suddenly catch fire. So be mindful of the things you'd normally ignore. The thoughts you almost brushed off. The fleeting feelings you label as nothing. Because one of them isn't. What if the universe's final message to you this month doesn't come with a bang? What if it arrives as a flicker, a barely there pulse, a small shift in the atmosphere? What if the greatest breakthrough of the month doesn't shout at all? What if it just breathes? This last week of June carries a strange weight, as if time itself is holding its breath. It's a pressure point, a pause between one form of being and the next, but it won't always feel like transformation. For many, it may simply feel human, raw, tired. You might find yourself wide awake in the middle of the night, wondering what you're doing or why everything suddenly feels so far away. You may feel numb, as if everything you were once passionate about has slipped just out of reach. And worse, you may not even care. But that sensation, don't fear it. It's not emptiness. It's the soul's way of clearing out the last bits of attachment to a version of you that can no longer come forward. It's the final release before a doorway appears. A lot of people give up right here, right at this threshold. They think they're failing. They think it's the end. But it isn't. It's the point just before the miracle. This is the psychic cramp, the energetic tension before the soul stretches into new form. The moment before a seed bursts open, it looks like it's falling apart. The moment before dawn, the temperature drops. And the moment right before the universe opens a new path, everything might seem like it's breaking. That's how you know you're close. So when you feel the desire to walk away, to start over, to erase everything, pause. Don't try to force a sign. Don't rush to reframe the discomfort into meaning. Don't convince yourself you're strong. Just breathe. Just sit. Let it pass through you. That ache inside you is not the absence of movement. It's space being made. And here's the quiet truth. If you can hold that space without reaching for proof, something new will begin to arrive. Not immediately. Not in the moment you expect. But once the old pattern has fully released its grip on you, the new energy will step forward of its own accord. Not because you chased it, but because you made room for it. You won't get the confirmation first. You'll get the unfolding because you stayed, despite the absence of clarity. That's the sacred twist of this moment. This isn't the end of the month. It's the final breath before the next inhale, the stillness before the shift. And if you can stay with yourself, fully present, even when everything seems like it's crumbling, you'll catch it. The exact moment it turns. Not because you forced it, but because you were ready. There is a kind of strength in those who chase the light, not out of desperation, but because they once made peace with the darkness. And more than peace, they were patient with it. They sat in it. They breathed through it. They waited, not knowing when or how the light would return. And somehow, when the light finally did come back, it didn't have to be hunted. It found them. Right now, something you've always believed to be true, about yourself, about the world, about someone close to you, is starting to flicker. That flicker is not a glitch, not a misstep in the process, and certainly not a mistake. It's a soft signal from the cosmos. Something sacred is being revealed, and it's coming into view quietly, like dawn before the sun has truly risen. June 29th marks a rare and subtle cosmic alignment, the meeting of Saturn and Neptune. You don't need to be an astrologer or even interested in planetary movement to feel this one. It's not about charts or terminology. It's about energy. It's about what happens when illusion finally meets reality face to face. Saturn, the taskmaster of form, responsibility, structure, and truth, collides with Neptune, the dreamweaver of fog, fantasy, intuition, and imagination. And when these two ancient forces whisper to each other across the vastness of space, something profound happens here on Earth. No, the world won't collapse, but it will tilt just enough for you to notice that everything you thought had a clear boundary. Your beliefs, your job, your identity, your relationships might have softer, less defined edges than you imagined. And this shift isn't just symbolic, it's deeply real. You may find yourself staring at something utterly familiar, something you see every single day, and suddenly it doesn't look the same. It doesn't feel the same. Your perspective has shifted, and with it, your understanding. This is not because the thing itself changed overnight, but because you've changed enough to finally see through it, beyond the illusion, beyond the comfort of a single story. It's as if your vision was fogged, and now, without warning, the mist begins to lift. What you're seeing now was always there, waiting, hidden in plain sight. The deeper layer of truth isn't new. It was simply hidden until you were ready to receive it. Sometimes, clarity doesn't arrive like lightning, crashing into your life with a dramatic revelation. Sometimes, it shows up quietly. A crack in your perception, a small fracture in your understanding of something you thought was solid. And over the days and weeks ahead, that crack may widen. What begins as a whisper might grow into something undeniable. You might experience moments of strange déjà vu, like you've already lived this particular second, heard this phrase before, or dreamed this conversation months ago. You may hear a casual sentence from someone that hits you much harder than it should, almost like a hidden message slipped into everyday life. Numbers may repeat, names may echo, coincidences may pile up, patterns may start tracking you, not in an invasive way, but like breadcrumbs laid out by a deeper intelligence trying to get your attention. It won't all make sense immediately. In fact, it's not supposed to. That's part of the process. You're not going crazy. You're being shown fragments of a truth that's too big to be revealed all at once. It's like stumbling upon torn pages from a book you didn't even know you were reading. One that's somehow about you, your life, your choices, your soul's map. These fragments won't hand you the full picture, but they'll stir something in you, a kind of recognition beyond logic. The reality you've been living isn't wrong, but it may be incomplete. Neptune, the dreamer, shows you the fog, the confusion, the longing, the questions. Saturn, the builder, shows you the foundation beneath the fog, the unshakable truths, the grounded clarity. Together they reveal the blueprint you never knew existed, the pattern behind the curtain, the map beneath the map. This isn't about abandoning what you know, but about expanding it. And here's the most important part. Not everyone will see this. Most people won't even notice. They'll chalk up the strange feelings and eerie synchronicities to being tired, stressed, maybe just having weird dreams. They'll keep moving through the day as though nothing unusual is happening. But if you're even slightly tuned in, if your inner world has been stirring, you'll feel it. You'll know something's happening, even if you can't explain it, and you're not wrong. Some of what you used to call confusion was actually an early form of clarity, one that your mind wasn't ready to translate yet. That foggy feeling you had, it was the beginning of insight, not the absence of it. If you're starting to see the patterns, even if they don't fully add up yet, you're not behind, you're ahead. Don't rush to decode it. Don't force it into a conclusion. Just notice. That alone is powerful, because once you notice that something is not what it seemed, once you glimpse the outline of a deeper truth, you can't unsee it. The axis of your inner world begins to shift. Your compass realigns. And from that moment on, everything you encounter is filtered through a new awareness. This week, be especially cautious about anything that arrives too fast, anything that seems too perfect, too well-timed, too convenient. It might not be what it appears to be. Earlier, we spoke of light and illusion. Well, here comes that glittering mirage. Something may come into your life and look exactly like what you've been waiting for. It may sparkle, radiate promise, feel like the answer to your prayers. It could be a job, an opportunity, a message from someone long gone, a fast track to healing or success or clarity. But look closer. The shimmer may not be real gold. That perfect opportunity might be dressed up to look like fate, when, in reality, it's a repeat, a test in disguise. A lesson you've already been through, now returning with new clothes, trying to see if you've really grown or if you'll fall for the same illusion again. Ask yourself, is this truly new, or is it just faster? Saturn teaches patience. Neptune asks for trust. Together, they are showing you that the real things, truth, love, growth, healing, move with intention. They take time. They aren't in a rush because they don't need to convince you. But illusions? Illusions push. They arrive quickly, dressed to impress. And this week is full of them. Not to hurt you, but to test your alignment. If something comes rushing in this week with urgency, drama, or too good to be true packaging, pause. Breathe. Listen. Not to the noise it makes, but to the quiet voice inside of you. The one that knows the difference between depth and decoration. This week, that voice is your compass. Trust it more than anything else. The deeper invitation of this week is not to chase every spark that catches your eye. It's to notice which lights feel anchored and which ones vanish the moment you reach for them. This is a moment of contrast, of discernment, of sacred slowing down. The things that are real will move slowly. They will give you space. They will feel steady, grounded, even if they're new or unfamiliar. You won't have to chase them or cling to them or convince yourself they're right. You'll simply know. And if you don't know yet, that's okay too. Sometimes, not knowing is the clearest message of all. It means you're still becoming the version of yourself who can recognize what's true. So this week, allow space for mystery. Let the flickers be flickers. Let the puzzle remain unsolved. Let yourself receive pieces without rushing to put them together. Life is not asking you to decode every message right now. It's asking you to be present enough to notice them. Because once you notice, once you see, the shift has already begun. And even if everything outside of you looks the same, everything within you will feel different. That quiet awareness is not just a moment. It's a turning point. And it changes everything. Sometimes, what's truly meant for you won't show up like lightning in a storm. It won't dazzle you with instant gratification or rush into your life wrapped in bells and glamour. Instead, it arrives quietly, like a seed being placed gently into the soil of your soul. You won't always know it's there right away. You may not even feel its presence at first. But over time, it grows into something real, something rooted. In contrast, the things that aren't truly meant to last often have a very different rhythm. They're loud, sparkly, urgent. They promise quick fixes, easy joy, instant results. They know exactly how to light up your nervous system just enough to feel like love, like purpose, like clarity. But then, just as quickly as they appear, they fade. They lose their shine. Their charm wears thin, and what's left behind is emptiness. The real things, the soul-level alignments, they test you differently. They don't give you that immediate high. Instead, they challenge your patience. They stretch you past your need for quick validation. They don't shout for your attention. They whisper through moments of stillness. They don't come to sweep you off your feet. They come to ground you so deeply into yourself that you can't help but grow into a higher version of who you are. Right now, the universe is watching, not in a judgmental or punitive way, but in a deeply attentive, almost reverent way. It's observing what you choose when the lights are dim, when you're not feeling your best, when you're tired of waiting and everything inside of you is crying out for something to change. The cosmic gaze doesn't linger on the easy decisions made in clarity. It focuses on the ones you make in discomfort, when desperation knocks, when temptation sings a seductive tune. That's when your soul's curriculum gets real. That's when alignment becomes a choice, not a gift. And here's the truth. If you can hold steady in those moments, if you can sit with your restlessness and not immediately try to soothe it with the nearest distraction, something remarkable begins to stir. If you can stay in the stillness just a little longer, breathe through the discomfort just a few more times, the real path begins to rise. Not with fanfare, not in flashing lights, but in a kind of quiet recognition. It won't demand your attention. It won't chase you down. It won't manipulate you into choosing it. But it will last. It will root itself into your life with the strength of something that's truly meant for you. This week, you're not being asked to wait passively. You're being called to be intentional. This isn't about sitting on the sidelines and hoping. It's about knowing when to say no to what feels like it's moving too fast, even if it comes dressed in gold. Because real gold is heavy. Real gold moves differently. It doesn't sparkle to seduce, it anchors to support. And you're not here to collect shiny scraps that leave you empty. You're here to align with what's real, with what's sacred, with what's true. The energy of the solstice is still rippling through the atmosphere, echoing out like a tuning fork, resetting the frequency of your entire reality. June 21st wasn't just another day on the calendar. It marked a profound energetic shift, the moment when the light paused, when the sun held its longest note before beginning its descent. In that sacred stillness, something final occurred. A cycle ended, not metaphorically, not in theory, but in full energetic truth. A door closed, a chapter sealed. What does that mean for you? It means you can no longer go back to what you tolerated. You can no longer find comfort in the old coping mechanisms, in the identities you wore to survive, in the stories that helped you navigate past pain. The exit behind you has been locked, not out of punishment, but out of cosmic kindness. The version of you who made decisions out of fear or habit, who accepted less than they deserved, who doubted their own power, that version has been lovingly archived. Now comes the threshold moment. Not a new beginning exactly, but a sacred checkpoint, a fork in your soul's journey. One of those rare, in-between places where time bends just enough to let you shift course in a way that echoes across lifetimes. You're not quite where you were, but you're not yet fully where you're going. You're in the liminal space, the sacred pause between breath and action, between the old reality and the one still downloading into your field. Most people won't notice. They'll feel restless, anxious, foggy, maybe a little lost. They'll think it's just a mood, or the weather, or maybe burnout. But if you're attuned, if your spirit has been paying attention, you'll recognize the sensation for what it is, a reorientation, a deep, energetic reshuffling. The rules are changing. Time feels different. Memory feels slippery. You may find yourself forgetting what day it is or why you walked into a room. You may feel pulled to places or people or memories with no clear reason. And when it's time to make a decision, even a small one, You may feel a hesitation you've never felt before. That's not you losing your confidence. That's not confusion. That's calibration. Your inner compass is reconfiguring. The new version of you arriving doesn't trust the old instincts, not because they were wrong, but because they were shaped by a reality that no longer exists. That's not a loss. It's growth. It's your soul demanding a higher level of alignment. It's your intuition learning how to speak in a new language, one built not on fear or urgency, but on resonance, stillness, truth. You're being asked to do something deeply courageous right now, to act only from that place of deeper knowing, not from pressure, not from panic, but from presence. You're being asked to trust the unfolding, even when you don't understand the timing, even when the way forward looks foggy. This is not a season of force. This is a season of refinement, of spiritual precision. You are not lost. You are in sacred territory. The map you once used won't serve you anymore. You're not supposed to follow the old signs. You're supposed to listen inward, to navigate by feel, to trust the subtle shifts in your own energy more than any external advice. Everything you experience in this final week of June carries the imprint of this new law. What used to work may feel dull or unappealing. What you used to ignore might now feel urgent or magnetic. That's not chaos, it's revelation. The frequency is rising and your soul is attuning to that higher signal. You are in the upgrade sequence, but it only completes if you don't override it with old patterns, with past momentum, with the temptation to rush back into something that no longer holds your truth. The truth is, you're not late. You're not behind. You're exactly where you're supposed to be, standing at the invisible start of a path that can't be seen by the eye, but can be felt in the body. This path doesn't reveal itself all at once. It unveils itself moment by moment, breath by breath, choice by choice. And every time you say no to what is misaligned, you say yes to a future that is finally ready to meet you at your fullest expression. So be patient. Be present. Don't chase what runs fast. Trust what moves slow and steady. Don't mistake silence for absence. What's meant for you is already finding its way into form. It's just moving like a root, not like a spark. And when it comes, it will feel like recognition, not surprise. It will feel like home, not a high. And if you've made it this far, thank you. Thank you for showing up for your own journey, for listening, for feeling, for being here with the energy and not running from it. Your awareness is powerful. Your attention is sacred. If this message spoke to something in you, something quiet, something true, please consider subscribing so you won't miss what comes next. Your support is deeply appreciated, more than you know. And if you're moved too, feel free to share what you've been experiencing in the comments. Your story matters. Until next time, stay grounded, stay open, and trust what roots instead of what dazzles. You're not here to settle for the noise. You're here to rise in alignment with the real.